Before you, my friend, sits the near holy grail of Nissan vehicles. I say near because obviously the pinnacle, the absolute top, belongs to the GTR Nismo. And as this is only a Z Nismo, well, it's not the ultimate model. Now, if you're a fan of Nissan products and motorsports and performance, you know that when Nissan affixes the word Nismo to one of its vehicles, it's usually the top performing, quickest, sportiest variant of said model. Perhaps in the past there were a few exceptions. Duke Nismo comes to mind, but let's leave that in the past. The thing with Nismo, and the thing with Nissan, and the thing with the Z is that the Z itself is in a quasi-precarious situation. It hasn't been entirely that well received in North America. To say that the Z is rare would be understating the fact that I never ever see one on the road ever. Which means, depending on who you ask, at least in my opinion, if you're gonna put Nismo on a Z, it has to be really, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest iteration of the Z. And I can tell you right now that if you're going to shop for a Z Nismo because you want to track the car, this is perhaps one of the most hardcore Nismos, short of the GTR Nismo. In fact, it is the most hardcore Nismo, short of the GTR, I have ever experienced. It is true to form, true to style as well, as far as Nismo products go. However, it is not without some flaws. The thing, and I'll just give you a quick idea of what I'm trying to say, is that these hardcore performance vehicles need not be punishing in 2024, 2025. But there's a certain poetry in the fact that the Z Nismo will punish you, but it's no longer necessary. So depending on what side of the fence you sit on, you want the performance, we all agree, but do you want to daily drive your car or not so much? Well, right off the bat, you can, because one thing about this car, which is a downside and an upside at the same time, makes it very livable on a daily basis. But another one makes it, well, truly punishing. But allow me to just add to that, this thing is insanely fast and is one of the rare cars that I've driven in the recent past that has been lit. From the moment you start it up, this car is lit, which you might like, which you might not like. Again, daily drivable or not. Anyhow, in the following review, as we always do, we'll do a few laps of this Z Nismo, and then we're gonna go for a drive. So please hang in there. I suppose we can start right away with just styling. The current Z is an absolute beauty. Every design decision made over at Nissan, you know, from the badges, from the way the quarter panel in the rear kind of matches up with the roof line, and it's what am I trying to say? It's so retro cool and beautiful. I mean, in fact, the only kind of part that I'm not too crazy about is the front end, but that's so truly, absolutely personal that it really doesn't matter. Let's just talk pricing quickly. In the US, the base price for a Z Sport 6-speed manual or 9-speed automatic, that's the cool thing, is the same price, $42,970, and La Nismo is $65,750. In Canada, the base price is kind of weird because on Nissan Canada's website, there's a different price than the base price in the press release. But on the website, there's $46,498 for the base Sport 6-speed manual or 9-speed automatic, and then there's also $50,998 for that same car. Given the price difference between the Nismo in the US and Canada, let's just go and assume that $50,998 is the base price for the Z. You get a bunch of equipment with that. It doesn't really matter. This is really specific to the Nismo, which is in Canada a quasi eye-watering $75,998. And you get that 8-inch touchscreen display, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a whole bunch of other features that you would normally get in the Z. But what makes the Nismo Nismo? Well, essentially everything you see here. I mean, it's three-piece spoiler, the different bumpers, the skirts, the oversized wheels, which are gorgeous. Just absolutely, these rays are unbelievable. I would use them as decoration in my bedroom if such a thing was possible. The front chin spoiler, obviously the badging, and it's got a few colors, and this one, which is exclusive to Nismo, Stealth Gray. I'm tired of these colors, overplayed, but with the red and black combined and the just the extra touches, it looks exceptional. The rear wheels, as you can see, these are staggered, and they're 285 section wide in the back, and they're Sport Max tires, which are semi-slicks. So when it's cold outside, yeah, be easy on the throttle, which I kind of hinted at the fact that this car is lit. Yeah, it kind of likes to light them up. But nobody does that, of course. Other things that are unique to this car, well, I mean, it's got unique stabilizer bars, stiffer springs, retuned dampers. It's got Recaro seats, I'll show them to you in a few moments. And then there's the extra power that you get with the twin turbo V6, which I'll tell you more once we get behind the wheel of the car. There isn't much else to say. I mean, just standing by the car and looking at it, you can tell that it is special. And admittedly, again, I mean, even if it's available in white and black and other colors, this really does highlight how special the Nismo is. It's a very, very attractive car. Absolutely, like Ricer JDM spec. It's a dream. Oh, while the cloud comes on, I guess we'll just do a quick tour of the trunk. 241 liters. Not that you really need to see this, but there it is. And the release is in the logo, by the way, if you want to know. Obviously, he's a two-seater. And the highlight on the inside are these Recaro seats with the fixed back, the fixed headrest. They are extraordinary. They just hold you and hug you. And it's all manual adjustments, which is fantastic. Otherwise, the interior is very just Z spec. We can start it up. Red buttons specific to the Nismo. Yeah. So you see, this is the high and the low rolled into one. A bit more coming on that soon. The 8-inch display, it's fine. I've said this in my Z review. The only real issue here is that these HVAC controls kind of are angled down. So it's actually difficult to spot the temp and all that when you're making the adjustments. But otherwise, yeah, Nismo cluster, fully digital. Wonderful. These gauge pods are just, you can't have a Z without having these. You get the boost, which this car has a little bit extra, and a turbo spool speed, which is really cool. There's nothing else really to say. Yeah, Nismo carpets, sell those on eBay. I don't know why I said that. Marketplace then. Visibility is okay. This is terrible, but it doesn't matter because you're always looking that way because this thing just boogies. And enough said, let's go for a drive. Just before we do, drive modes. Okay, so you start off in standard, as you can see. You can toggle up to Sport, which are the two modes you get in the regular Z, and then there's Sport Plus, which is Sport Plus. And that's it. Let's keep going. Okay, so I kind of just showed you, you know, what the upside and downside is to this car, which is the automatic transmission. I say upside and downside because when you leave it in D, the 9-speed auto is actually very nice. It shifts gears imperceptibly, and it always is happy to, you know, a slight throttle application, and I'm in standard drive mode. It's very happy to drop a couple gears and just pev you on your way. And when you're, you know, in manual mode, downshifts very quickly. I mean, I'll just go into Sport, so it reacts a little bit quicker as we enter a slightly busier area. Upshifts, downshifts in standard. If you're easy on the throttle, the shifts are a little bit slow, but the harder you drive this car, the more better it responds. So that's the high and low, and low because it's automatic. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've stabbed the brake thinking that I was about to start the car or downshift, only to, well, realize that, you know, it is automatic. It should be manual. Granted, with the automatic, the car has launch control, so it's a heck of a lot quicker. It's easier to drive on a track because you don't have to, concentrate on your gears. Just leave it in D and let it do its thing, which is great. But to me, that's taking away from the performance driving experience. However, 2024, 2025, as I just mentioned, sadly, it's a dying art form, heel and toe and shifting on your own. The good news, it's a good automatic transmission. Bad news, that manual, somewhere in between the two. I don't know how reliable it will be in the medium and long term, especially if the car is abused. Because you will want to abuse it. The twin turbo 3-liter V6 is, holy crap. It is a firecracker. So right, the regular Z's 400 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. This, more cooling, more boost, more power. So even 420 HP and 384 pound-feet of torque from 2,000 to 5,200 RPM. Meaning that this thing pulls. Consistently, continuously pulls. And that's a lot of torque as of 2,000 RPM, which means that, okay, I won't do anything stupid, but from a dead stop, it's next to impossible unless you truly, absolutely, delicately feather, this was not a good road, feather the throttle. Otherwise, on any little slightly dusty surface, the rear LSD, which you get with the Nismo, will light up both wheels. Ugh. And that's what happens though. When you do quasi-stab the throttle, the car just wants to shoot, catapult, never mind forward. That's what makes it slightly difficult on a daily drivability, from a daily drivability point of view. Otherwise, the problem is the ride. The stiffer springs and retuned dampers mean that this car is constantly moving. And with the ultra hardcore tires, every surface, every nook, cranny, every pebble, every twig gets filtered into the cabin. And even though the Recaro seats do hold you in place superbly, you're moving around so much. When I say this car is lit, effectively it's just always buzzing. I mean, it's never truly relaxed. It just wants to, it's darty. This specific aspect is unnecessary. I mean, all the car needs are adjustable dampers and an individual or custom drive mode where you can just adjust a few things, have maximum throttle response, but have a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more dampening in the dampers. But having said that, when on a country road, this car, the faster and the harder you drive it, the more it settles into its role as a Nismo, as an ultra high performance car. It reminds me of an M3 from a few generations ago. In fact, maybe the current one too, where the harder you drive the car, the more at ease it feels. Even the previous gen M5, if I recall correctly. These are the types of cars that are not, they're sold as dailies, but they desire nothing more than to be pushed, even punished, because that's when they settle into their element. And as I said in my Z review a year ago or two, I forget, this 3-liter twin turbo makes this car a supreme muscle car. In fact, it just spools up so nicely, so quickly, so imperceptibly, like the shifts, that before you know it, those wheel spin. Before you know it, you're doing a lot more than the posted speed limits. You feel the push, but there's no real drama because of the boost and the torque. I absolutely love this car. I think I was very lukewarm about the Z itself. I'm still lukewarm about the idea of the Z. The automatic transmission really does take away from the experience, or what this car should be, at least in my opinion. But It is an absolutely ultra efficient, high performance track carving machine or country road destroyer. It is so happy being pushed. I just wish there was a little bit more forgiveness. I mean, the whole structure has been reinforced to do this, so it's not a question of integrity. It's just a question of forgiveness. Oh. Yeah, I really like this card. And I got blasted about being harsh on the Dark Horse for whatever reason, but this one, I take Z Nismo over a Dark Horse. There, I've said it. And I will say no more.